Josh, what could possibly be the best deli sandwich? It's called a club. The turkey club. This is an iconic sandwich. When a club gets put in front of you, you go, why haven't I had this sooner? And why is it so good? It's a perfect sandwich with all the elements you could ever want, both refreshing, both crunchy, salty, fatty, smoky. You feel good after you eat it. It's relatively sort of healthy, but what would be the greatest version of it? This one. We're making our own bread, we're making our own deli meat, everything. There's a lot you can learn from this video. If you were to take anything away, it's that you can make all these things from scratch and they don't even have to come together all in one. You could just make your own deli turkey and that become a thing that you do. Now you always have deli turkey on hand that is 100 times better than anything you're gonna get at the store. So that being said, let's make this, shall we? We're gonna start by making our own sandwich bread. Then we'll move up to a homemade shawarma spiced deli turkey. Finally, we'll whip up a classic mayo and assemble this perfect sandwich in all of its beauty. Before we start on our bread, let's talk about turkey. This is by far one of the hardest meats to cook perfectly. You go slightly too high, it goes dry. You go slightly too low, you got raw poultry. Frankly, the best way to get it right is to use a thermometer. That's where today's sponsor, Tyfer, comes in. Tyfer Sync Gold makes it easy to monitor. It's got 6 sensors for super accurate readings, and thanks to its sub 1G technology and Wi-Fi, you can literally monitor your cook from anywhere in your house, or in my case, the prep kitchen, obviously. No more babysitting the oven. It's a massive help in getting that perfect juicy turkey every single time. You don't want dry. Learn more and grab yours using the link in the description. Now, back to the video. You gotta make your own bread. This is an easy sandwich bread that will make 2 loaves. And it starts with 2 cups or 480 grams of lukewarm water. You're gonna whisk in 14 grams of yeast until completely dissolved. And you're gonna whisk in a 1/3 cup or 67 grams of sugar. Oh my God, so much sugar! You can leave it out if you want, but it does help mellow out the flavor of the bread. And you'd be surprised, most store-bought bread, and that's the goal of this bread, is a little sweet. Then once that's all dissolved, you'll finally add 2.5 teaspoons or 12 grams of salt. You can add it at this stage, it's completely fine. All right, now all that's dissolved in here nicely. You can pour that into the bottom of a stand mixer. And finally, to your bowl, 3.5 tablespoons or 47 grams of softened unsalted butter directly into that. It'll integrate. This is why we're using a stand mixer. Now, this is one of those recipes where, yes, you can use your hands. It will be very hard to integrate the butter into the dough. I would recommend maybe slightly melting the butter at this stage and then adding your dry ingredients and mixing by hand, but even better, use vegetable oil. That's integratable, and you'll just mix this by hand. And then right here I have bread flour. So we'll start this on low speed, and then you're gonna add 5 3/4 cup or 862 grams of bread flour, about a 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup at a time until all of it's been added. Then just let that mix on medium-low speed until you get a smooth and homogeneous dough about 3 to 5 minutes. After that 3 to 5 minutes, your dough should be nice and smooth and elastic. Doesn't that look nice? It just feels good. Now, you can knead it a few more times on your clean work surface. I like to do that personally just to get it a little extra worked. The spiral arm is great for mixing things like butter in, and it's decent at kneading. It's not the best. So give it a few more one of these. Once it's nice and soft, it's got some nice extensibility. See if I stretch this out. I've got a decent window pane on it. I'm pretty happy with that. Form your dough into a rough ball. Get yourself a nice clean bowl, and you can grease this with olive oil or a little bit of baking spray. So dough goes in. I like to flatten it out because it's gonna whoosh, bloom up. Then just cover that with plastic wrap or a damp towel and let this rise for about 1.5 hours or until doubled in size. You can also put this in the fridge and let it rise overnight if you wanna make it the next day. You don't wanna deal with it right away, right? Here's our finished dough. Get that gas out of there, dude. I don't want that shit, at least not right now. You're then going to dump your dough out onto a work surface. Now my goal here is to get this roughly into a rectangle so I can split it equally in half. Now, to each half, I want you to do your best to try to get this into a rough sort of square shape. And you're gonna roll this out into a 9" by 6" rectangle. You're just gonna roll this bad boy out. If it's sticking too much, give it a light dusting with flour. Honestly, even if you wanted to roll this out a little thinner, you totally could. Just make sure you don't let it get any longer than about 9 inches. I wanna make sure that this is gonna fit. Flip it over. Now this little part here has no flour on it, which is perfect. If there is any, dust it off, and you're going to roll this tightly all the way up to a nice taut cylinder. That's it. This is going to be a loaf of bread. You can lightly seal the bottom if you want, okay, but it's not absolutely necessity. Here's our seam side, right? We have our baking pan. or a bread pan rather. Give it a spray, and then seam side down. This seam side here is gonna go directly down in the bottom of your pan. Make sure it fits nice and beautifully snug. And soon you will have a beautiful loaf of bread. You're gonna repeat this with the other half of your dough. Each of these you will then wrap in plastic wrap and let them rise at room temperature for about 1.5 hours or until doubled and just poking up beyond the top of your baking pan by about a 1/2 inch. The other option is you may have lids, because this is a Pullman loaf. You can always slide the Pullman lid on and eliminate the need for any plastic wrap whatsoever. Now our loaves have been proofed beautifully. They're many times their original size, but also they're about to be super delicious. This one rose a bit better than this one. I think this is a more prime example. See how it's like, it's just barely like a 1/2 inch higher than the top of this bread pan. That said, a little bit of whole milk, and you're just going to gently brush the tops of both of these. Just enough to coat. Now you're gonna pop these into a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for 25 to 30 minutes. We pulled our bread out. It's been cooling in this pan for about 5 minutes. Once it's done that, you then can carefully tip it on its side. You know, you may not have hands of steel like me. And pop that bad boy out there. Set it on a cooling rack, tip the other one out, pop them upright, let them cool completely. You got sandwich bread. Josh, you're insane. I just wanna go to the store and pick up bread. You can do that too. I said this was the greatest turkey club, and the greatest turkey club starts with fresh bread. Turkey breast. The beauty of making your own is number one, you never end up with dry bullshit. But number two, you can flavor it however you want. We're making a shawarma spiced deli turkey. Where are you gonna buy that? You're not, you're gonna make it with me right here. I love you. So first, all over the skin, I want you to lightly prick with a knife. So it's gonna be dot, 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 dot. Do not touch the meat. Just lightly prick the skin. What that's gonna do is gonna help that fat render and baste the turkey breast as it is roasting, because if you wanna include this skin, frankly, you need it to render out as much fat as possible. Or if you wanna peel it off, at least it'll help keep it extra moist and flavorful. So you know, 1.5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, drizzle it on the turkey breast and rub all over. Okay, I got a lot of spices for you here. You ready? 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 2 tablespoons of cumin, 1.5 tablespoons of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne, 1/2 teaspoon of dried ginger, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, and 1 teaspoon of ground coriander. It's a lot of spices, I know, but I'm tired of boring turkey breast. I'm sick of it, I want something exciting. The beauty of this is, you're not even gonna use all this. You'll probably only use half this. So package up the other half, use it to season some pork chops or something, I don't know. But it smells incredible. Now, to your turkey. You're gonna season that generously. Rub in your spices, both sides. Really rub those spices in. Get under the skin if you can. Just lift that skin up. Just throw those spices in there. I want this turkey spiced. Okay, run your fingers on the inside, rub it around, get it on the flesh. This is set on a 1/4 baking sheet. You can do it on a full baking sheet with a wire rack over it so there's space in between the breast and the sheet tray. Why? Because we're gonna add enough water just to create about a 1/2 inch of water at the base of it. A, to catch some of that drippings, but also B, so it doesn't smoke out your oven. Add in your thermometer if you're using one, and set the internal temperature target to 150 Fahrenheit. Oh my God, 150 Fahrenheit, what about the salmonella? Look, if you're super concerned, you can pull it at 165, but if it's held at 150 Fahrenheit for at least 3.5 minutes, it should be perfectly safe to eat. But just know that if you pull it at 165, you should expect a less juicy and drier breast. Now, you're gonna place this into an oven set to 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. So after those 15 minutes, lower the temperature to 300 Fahrenheit and remove the turkey once it reaches an internal temperature of 150 degrees Fahrenheit, which will take about 1 hour. Once that's done, remove it from the oven, cool to room temperature, and this is the important part. You're gonna chill it in the fridge completely. That'll take at least a few hours, but ideally just pop it in the fridge overnight. Then you can take it out and slice it. We have our finished chilled turkey breast. Now at this point, you need to remove bones, so I just find them with my finger. Honestly, you could just peel it off or take your knife and run under that breastplate, peel it back. Now at this stage, if you want to have the skin on, you absolutely can. The only thing you need to know, you can either slice it with a knife, which is totally fine. It's a lot more of a bitch to do. If you have a meat slicer, I would recommend using a meat slicer, but obviously if you're using a knife, simply start your cuts right at the end and slice it as thinly as you possibly can. You do that a couple times, you got sliced turkey. It's cold, it's chilled, it tastes just like deli turkey, but the point is, you can only get it so thin with your knife. But if you want to do it the legit way, you're gonna get way better looking turkey slices. If it's on a deli slicer, select the thinnest size that you want. You want it thick? Make it thick. You want it thin? Make it thin. I'm making mine thin. I have mine set to 1.5 on the deli slicer function. Look at that. That is a beautiful slice of deli turkey. So we're making our own mayo. It's the easiest thing ever, but I have a very specific formula. 2 whole eggs, I like to crack them into a separate container, just to make it a little easier for people to get the yolks, okay? Once you've done that, bare hands, get in there, separate the yolk from the white. You literally just gently pick one up and let the white fall through the cracks in your fingers. Just kind of transfer from one hand to the next, until you get all those little whites off that broke. That happens. To me, it's a little easier to avoid yolk getting into the white when you do it with your bare hands. So now to that, you're gonna add 1 tablespoon of water, 1.5 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, half a teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And I got 2 cloves of garlic. This is optional, but I like a little garlic in my mayo. Don't put them in whole, grate them so that they're as fine and undetectable texturally as possible. We just want flavor influence. And then finally, the juice of 1 whole lemon. From there, you're going to gently pour in 1 cup of a neutral tasting oil. That could be canola oil, vegetable oil, avocado oil, or literally any oil that is neutral and doesn't taste like anything. Do not use olive oil. You may be tempted to use olive oil. It will turn into a bitter mess. And then the secret, an immersion blender. So you're gonna take this, set it all the way into the bottom, and then just let it rip. Now, once it starts to emulsify down here, you're gonna slowly bring that up towards the top. Give it a little up and down motion. One of those, make sure everything is beautifully emulsified. Now you have a beautiful spreadable mayo. Now I have this made just a touch more loose. You can always add up to another ½ cup of oil if you want it thicker. Now, moving on to the rest of the sandwich. All right, now we need bacon, but we need perfect bacon. And when I say perfect bacon, I mean specifically for turkey club, I really think it needs to be crispy. I'm sorry, if you don't like it crispy, I'll show you how to make that. But you're gonna take bacon, layer it on a baking sheet with parchment paper. You're gonna set this in a cold oven. Set it to 400 Fahrenheit and let it sit in there for around 20 minutes. It'll come out crispy, perfect, and beautiful. You don't want it that crispy? Great, take it out at 15 minutes, take it out at 10 minutes. However you like your bacon, take it out at that stage, so keep an eye on it. Take 3 slices of bread, toast them in a toaster until golden brown. This is per sandwich, by the way, so if you're having many sandwiches, do the math. Thinly slice your tomato and season to taste with a little bit of flaky salt, fresh cracked black pepper, and a touch of extra virgin olive oil. There's a lot of mayo involved in this. So first, the bottom slice, down, mayo, followed by your crispy bacon, layer it on nicely, followed by your seasoned tomatoes, layer them on nicely. A little bit of iceberg lettuce and fresh green leaf. You can pick one or you can do both. Mayo your other slice, place that on top. Mayo the top of that slice, so double mayo. Stack on your turkey. Optionally, you can add a slice of cheese. I have pepper jack cheese here. Mayo your top slice lightly. Place that on top, mayo side down. Cutting this thing is difficult, so I would recommend putting large sandwich toothpicks or skewers in each corner, then just slice that in half, and then in half the other way. Now you have quarters. This is a classic club. We got the club sandwich, and I will say, it looks beautiful. This sandwich tastes like vacation. When you're sitting out on the beach and it was like a long flight, you didn't really sleep that well. You wanna eat, but you're too tired to get up, and then someone comes up to you and goes, "Can I take your order?" And you're like, "Son of a bitch, yeah, you can." And this lands in front of you. Ice cold, crisp lettuce, juicy tomatoes, a creamy mayo, this luscious, perfectly seasoned, soft turkey, and then of course the crispness from the toast on the bread, and then that crunch from the smoky bacon. It's tall, you can barely fit it in your mouth, but you'll unhinge your jaw for this. It's a sandwich that revitalizes, and it's a sandwich that makes you dream of days on the beach. And you made it yourself. It's f***ing perfect as it is. Sure, you could skip making the bread and it would probably be just as good, honestly. But all the other components I ask and I require you, please make everything else. It will blow your mind. This is the best version of a turkey club. I love it, and I know you will too. Thank you again to Typher for sponsoring today's video. We had a perfectly cooked turkey thanks to our incredible thermometer. No dry breast, just juicy, tender perfection. And their precise temperature control did some good heavy lifting for that, I'm gonna be honest. So whether you're a seasoned home chef or just starting out, this thing makes cooking meats so much easier and honestly, borderline foolproof. So be sure to check out the Typher Sync Gold, find the link and the special promo code in the description, click that link and go get some perfectly cooked turkey. Links in the description for the recipe, subscribe, love you so much, bye.